This is the plaintiff, Florence Lushinsky. She says she bought a puppy from the defendant's shop, and she knew it was love at first sight because the puppy looked at her and started sneezing at her. It was like she was sending her a signal or something. Unfortunately, the puppy she named Harley got sick and tested positive for parasites. She's out $1,600 in vet bills and is suing the defendant because she sold her a sickly dog. This is the defendant, Laura Ciccone. She says the plaintiff reached out to her with a vet bill 4 months after she sold her an adorable, healthy puppy. She has no idea what the puppy was exposed to in those 4 months. Tried to make the plaintiff happy because she's a very good businesswoman, and she thinks the judge will agree she owes the plaintiff no money on this lawsuit. She's accused of being a puppy pooper.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Letting up to have been sworn.
Okay, Florence Lushinsky?
Yes.
You are suing Bark Avenue LLC, represented by Laura Ciccone. You're the owner, for $1,600 in vet bills that you've had to expend because, according to you, she sold you a defective puppy. Tell me what happened.
Well, I came to the pet store to buy a puppy to keep the dog that I already had at home company. And I did notice when I went to purchase the puppy that the puppy didn't want to be picked up. It was in a stall, and it would go to the back of the stall. And when I turned my back on it, or I go to leave the room, she'd sneeze at me. So I kind of had an attachment to her right away.
And I know nothing says I love you more than avoidance and a sneeze. Okay. Go ahead.
So I brought her home, and she was and still is as sweet as can be. And what happened after a few days was the stool became very shiny looking, and it kind of got worse little by little by little. Her appetite was horrendous. She would out-eat the bigger dog. And she would have like 3 bowel movements or so after each time she ate, which was kind of a lot, I felt. She didn't have baby breath. Puppies usually come with puppy breath.
Puppy breath?
Yeah, like, you get a newborn baby, and they usually have a nice little fragrance to them or a smell. Puppies usually have puppy breath.
Which is good or bad?
Which would have been a good thing. It had a kind of
What does puppy breath smell like? Bad I mean,
it's like trying to describe like what a newborn smells like. It's tough to describe.
Well, it depends on what you're smelling on the newborn, but I know what a newborn smells, but I don't know. I'm not like capturing puppy breath. Is it
okay? But this one, it's hard to describe that. But this one had kind of like a metallic little odor to it that is very unusual.
Did you take your dog to the vet?
I did when it started to go into really a diarrhea. I thought the other was adjusting.
You bought the dog when?
January 21st, 25th, excuse me.
January 25th of 2015, is that accurate? All right, and when did you take the dog to the vet?
Well, I called for an appointment. I went to the vet that Laura had advised me to go to because the vet that she asked who I was going, the vet I was going to, one of her employees had said that it wasn't a good veterinary place.
So when did you take the dog to the vet?
I called for an appointment, and I was given an appointment on 2/17. Then I was called again from the pet store that they were closing because of the snow emergency.
Okay, so you didn't take the dog to the vet when you got the dog?
When I got there?
Yeah, when you got the dog. When you received the dog.
When I first received it,
you
no.
did not take the dog to the vet within 2 weeks? All right. And then, in fact, it was 3 or 4 weeks when of seeing the dog have these problems, and you still didn't take the dog to the vet?
I didn't think they were severe problems. I thought there was something that would work out.
Were they severe? What ended up happening?
Well, what ended up happening was seeing the vet did a stool sample, came up with 2 parasites. He put her on a regimen of medication, and what happened was she got better while she was on the medication. A few days after the medication, it seemed to go into the same syndrome as I had before. And
How much did you end up spending in vet bills?
Over $1,600.
For a parasite?
Yeah. and it was very resistant parasite. And I do feel that she was resistant to the parasite, because when I went back to the store on this occasion, and Laura's sister was there, their thing was sit back and watch and see what happens.
Whose thing?
Her sister that was at the store. She had told me that this is not an unusual thing. It's very common. A lot of their dogs come in with this, and what we give them is this pink suspension. She brought me into their place where they clean up the dogs, do whatever the dogs, and there was a refrigerator, and there was 2 bottles about that tall of pink suspension with a sulfur odor to it.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Is your sister here?
No, Your Honor,
Okay.
she's not.
So she says your sister told her, oh, yeah, lots of our dogs are sick and and they come with parasites and then we sell them to you.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
If that's the case,
We
is your
wouldn't-
sister part owner of this business? Are you an owner of this business?
I'm one of the owners,
Is she
yes.
part owner?
Yes, she was part owner
Okay.
as well.
So when do you first hear from the plaintiff that there's a problem?
Well, what happens, Your Honor, is when we sell a puppy, we sit the client down and we go through our protocol with them, and we give them the understanding that the state makes the statutes that enforces to the pet shop and to the pet owner. You have a 14-day warranty. It's it's enforced through the state, and she purchased the puppy.
Do you have the paperwork from the sale?
Yes, I also have
me see it.
paperwork from our vet who had given it a vet check. Stool samples were taken, and we have
And it was a clean bill of health? And that was how long before she bought
and
it?
negative
How long before
parasites.
she bought the animal?
It was on the same day.
Same day as she bought it.
And the puppy had 2 previous vet checks and parasite tests run, so the puppy was clinically healthy, showed no sign of parasites. Within the 2 weeks' time, we make phone calls to the client and check on the health and the status of the puppy to make sure everything is fine. So far, everything in the 2 weeks was fine, and my office manager is here who is in charge of compliance.
Come on up.
And this is Alex.
Okay. Alex, your last name?
Eiler.
Okay. And what, did you ever talk to her?
I never spoke to her, but I was in charge of making sure that we comply with the state regulations, the title in the administrative code in New Jersey that deals with pet shop
I don't need you to
sales.
tell me that. Just tell me, what are you here to testify to? I know the law.
I'm here to testify that pursuant to the statute, Ms. Lushinsky signed the notification of consumer rights.
That's what I want to see. Do you have that?
Yes.
I have it right here.
So the state your state requires you to inform the purchasers of the law. That they have 14 days.
At the time of purchase, Your Honor, before the transaction is even completed, you're given all your paperwork and your statute is signed by the customer.
Okay.
And
so
you're
did
aware
you
of the
sign
rights.
this?
And we tell them
Did you sign this?
specifically,
So hold on. See, there's a good reason for this. The reason that almost every state has a law like this is that they don't want you coming back and suing the seller a year later over something that went wrong. A dog is a living, breathing animal. Things go wrong, So if your premise is, hey, you sold it to me that way, especially in the case of a parasite, which you can catch a parasite anywhere, that dog could have caught the parasite from your dog. That dog could have caught the parasite from when you walked it outside in the lawn. So you have to be able to show that they sold it to you that way. So in a situation like this, where let me see the vet clear bill of health. When they've got, coincidentally, a vet clear bill of health the day of the sale, but more importantly, you didn't even follow the minimum stuff you're supposed to follow, which is to take the dog to a vet. If not that vet, your vet. If not your vet, another vet. There's lots of vets in your town. All right, but take the dog to a vet and get them to say, that's not enough for you to just take the dog to the vet. The next thing you have to do is if the vet says that this dog it has a congenital defect or was unfit for sale at the time of purchase because it was sick, your vet has to put that in writing, and you have to come to court with that from a vet in writing before we can even talk about whether it's their fault, and then they have to pay you for all these vet bills. Do you have any of that?
Well, I have from the first vet that I took the dog to, the 20th, the vet that she recommended, and why I had put it off was so it could get its injections. I didn't realize how sick the dog was.
Why did you sign something saying I'll take the dog to a vet in 14 days and then not take it to a vet when you're describing how sick it was?
This is the first appointment I was able to get with their vet.
Sweetheart, this is not heart surgery. This is not you know, this is a vet appointment. If you can't get a vet appointment, which I don't believe, but if you can't get a vet appointment in 14 days, go to another vet.
What happened was I had made the appointment. Then the explosive BMs were happening and whatever.
I don't know. Explosive BM is enough for me to go make an appointment with a different vet or take it to an emergency.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, are you more likely to get a good, healthy dog from a pet store, a breeder, or rescue?
I'd say a reputable breeder because they know their animals and they're handling healthy animals.
Okay, fair enough. What do you say?
I would say pet store. It's guaranteed. If you buy anything, a fish, they'll return it the next day if it dies or...
Okay, oh jeez. Okay, well that's a sad story.
For sure a pet store. I mean, they're usually certified. Breeder, you don't know really where they're coming from.
Okay. I disagree with everybody. I will explain why in a minute. Going inside the courtroom.
Do you have a statement from a vet that says that, in fact, the animal was unfit for purchase?
No.
Okay.
It didn't.
Well, based on the fact that your
socialize.
law in your state requires you to have a vet certification, not just a vet visit, but which you don't even have, but a vet certification within the 14 days.
A vet visit with her vet.
No, you're not listening. A certification of unfit for purchase, not vet bills that show you paid vet bill. A certification where the vet decides it came this way. You don't have that, so they don't owe you. Verdicts for the defendant.
And so getting word that you were a little lacking on the evidence there, you find out that you lose this case because of that. What's your first reaction to this outcome here?
I'm not a happy camper, and I'll tell you why.
Is this Harley here?
This is Harley.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I felt it could be corrected, but second of all, I was directed to this vet because he had given her for first shots, and this is when we were supposed to go, and she knew when I was going, and I really feel that since they have this kind of supply of medication in their refrigerator for sick dogs that come in on trucks, that I would have gotten something.
Are you attracted to anyone who sneezes around you?
Not anyone that sneezes.
No.
But this puppy, it's a pretty unusual
How is
thing
Harley
for a dog.
now?
She's doing really very well.
Oh, good, okay. All right.
A lot of energy now and very happy.
Oh, good. All right, good luck with Harley.
Thank you much.
All right, so step on in here and put yourself in her shoes. What do you think of the outcome here?
Well, I think the outcome was fair. These are why contracts are in place for both parties. And if you sign a contract, you have to agree to the stipulations.
What do you think happened?
And I think she took her healthy puppy home and she waited a month before she even took it to a vet or any issues came up, and she had to blame someone.
Is there a chance that parasite or whatever came along with the dog?
Well, we ran the tests, and the tests came out negative. The puppy had healthy, solid poops when she left.
Okay, good. Harvey?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to stand on my little soapbox here for just a second. I got to tell you something. Rescues, I think, are the best dogs, the best choice, because it's the weirdest thing. I've had a bunch of rescue dogs. They never forget that you saved them. It is weird. I know it sounds weird. They know, they get attached. They're not overly bred where there are inbreeding problems. They're fantastic dogs. I'm just telling you, they really are.